So, what is money? Where does it come from? And what is the best way to look after it? Well, in a nutshell, money solves a problem, and that problem is essentially how to pay for goods and services. Now, we could barter, we could swap one object for another. So I could say to you, I've got 3 pens, and I would like that sandwich in return. But barter is pretty crude. It's quite difficult to work out the ratios. What happens if you end up only needing 2.5 pens? Do you snap one in half? And also that sandwich isn't a terribly reliable store of value. If I'm going to eat it now, that's fine, but clearly it's going to deteriorate. So money is a simpler way for one person to get hold of pens and another to get hold of sandwiches. Both of them can go off and do a job, earn money, and then exchange it for goods and services. So money is divisible, it's portable, and it can be used as a store of value and a medium of exchange. It's widely accepted. If I take a pound out of my pocket and hand it to you, chances are you'll be perfectly happy. So where does money come from? Now the reality is that most of us have to earn it. There are a few other sources too. There's inheriting it, there's winning it, which I wouldn't necessarily recommend as plan A, let's say. There's the possibility as well that you might save it and earn a return. More about that coming up later. But the reality is most of us have to go out and earn it the hard way with a job or in self-employment. So what do we need money for? Well, it's all the obvious things around us. You can see in this room. It's paying for a house, it's paying for a car, it's paying for treats like holidays. It's paying for all of those goodies that we enjoy day to day, whether they are Netflix and Disney subscriptions, gym memberships, and so on. Now the question then becomes, why would you want to save any? Well, the answer is it's fine while you're earning money to just spend it, if you like, in one sense, because you know the next day you can earn some more. But what's going to happen later in life when, for example, you no longer have a job and you no longer earn money? Where's it going to come from then in the post-work or retirement environment? And also, if you keep spending the money that's coming in every day, how are you going to pay for bigger things like your own house eventually, a car? Where's that going to come from? The lump sum that you need in order to do that. So saving is a way of putting aside some of the money that's coming in, hopefully on a regular basis, so that we can pay for things in the future and also get some financial security for maybe a day when we can no longer do a job or we no longer want to do a job because frankly we want to stop full-time work and do other things with our lives, spend more time with the family, travel and so on. So the question then becomes where you're going to keep it. Now you could take a pound coin and stick it in the drawer behind me, but the reality is that's not terribly secure, and while it's in there it's not earning any sort of return. So most people will open a bank account and keep the money in electronic form there. After all, if you're saving money in particular, you don't necessarily need to have all of it available right now in the top drawer. You're probably not going to spend it all today. So a bank account enables you to earn a little bit of interest, hopefully, and also store it somewhere safely. But the reality is that interest rates are very, very low. So you're not actually earning a huge amount from a bank account. You might be earning something close to 0% at the moment. And that's where investment comes in. People look for other places where they can put their money to work. And one of those places is to basically hand it over to people running firms in the economy, entrepreneurs, and allow them to get their money to work for them. So by putting a pound into shares in a company, for example, I basically allow somebody else to try and make profits through great ideas, building brands of the sort you see around you all the time in day-to-day life. And that is a way to hopefully increase the return I would make if I left my money in a bank account, earning an interest rate of close to zero. There's risk, of course. If you hand your money over to somebody else, not knowing for sure whether they're going to make a success of their company, there's always a risk you could lose some of it. You might even lose all of it. But over the long term, people often invest some of their hard-earned money in the hope of making returns that beat inflation, otherwise known as the cost of living over time. So that when you want to spend that money in, say, 10 or 20 years' time, it buys more than it does at the moment. That's the objective. Now, how can that happen without a little bit of magic? And the answer is something I want to finish on: the power of compounding. Money can make money. So essentially, if you could find a way, and I stress if, of, for example, earning 5% a year on your saved money, then £100 would become £105 in 1 year's time, crudely speaking. If you leave the £105 invested, that can earn, say, 5% on top, and so on. And that snowball effect, where you leave money invested and allow it to roll up and accumulate, is what's called compound growth. And it can be pretty powerful over long periods. If you've got a rate, for argument's sake, and this would be punchy, I have to say, of 10%, you could earn 10% a year, and I'm not guaranteeing that. You'd need to find something fairly risky potentially in the current climate to do that, but you could be looking at doubling your money in real terms over around 7 or 8 years. So pretty powerful stuff. So there you have it. Money is something that allows us to lead our everyday lives. It's a medium of exchange for goods and services. It's a store of value. Realistically, most of us acquire it through earning it and then generating decent returns on the chunk we can save. And we all need to save and or invest, because in the future there'll be things we want to pay for, and we also want to reach that point where we've achieved a degree of financial flexibility and financial security, and may one day no longer want to have to actually earn the stuff on a day-to-day basis.